Hello, and welcome back to Quantitative Reasoning Online. We're still in Learning Plan 7, Lesson 16, and today we'll be looking at preview assignment for Part 16C. And looks like it's titled It's About Time, with interactive tutorial and 4 questions. So let's start it. It would appear that what we'll be working on, we will be determining sample size of a study, collecting relative frequencies, use data in a table to make a column graph, write analysis, and self-regulate your learning. That'll be done offline on your own. So let's see, in the next class, you will use spreadsheets, to calculate relative frequencies and to build a stat column graph. This preview assignment will help you review how to calculate relative frequencies and how to make a column graph. The tutorial for the preview of Lesson 16 Part C, It's About Time, begins here. So let's see, we have a community college survey of student engagement, dated 2013. And here's the spreadsheet. You click on this, you'll get the spreadsheet for the data. Don't want that. And let's see, 1601, 1775, 17065, 17375. Yep, that's the data. So click on this guy, and you'll get the data set. You need to do a little scrolling here. And the question is, how many students were surveyed? Well, here's the numbers that make up the various categories. Categories of none, 1.5, 6 to 10, 11 to 12 hours of their engagement. So how many hours do you spend in a typical 7-day week preparing for class, for study, reading, writing, rehearsing, doing homework, etc.? So we need to be able to basically sum these guys up. Well, we could get a calculator out and do a bunch of adding, or since I have the data here, I think what I'm going to do is use a Excel feature and do a sum. Using the auto sum. Add all those guys up. What's my enter button? For it appears to be 401,748. 451,748 students were surveyed. So, yep, add them all up, 451,748. Very good. So now, find the relative frequency as a percentage of each category. Okay, so here's our categories. Category 1. Well, here's our categories. Here's the number of students, and the relative frequency as a percentage. Well, that'll be the number in category, divided by total number times 100%. So let's see, by hand, the first one, well, let's do it, 6901 divided by my total, 451,748, then times by 100 for 1.53% to the first decimal place. Just 1.5% to one decimal place. Alright. We do that every time. The next one would be 170. The next one would be 177 over 451 times 100. Do it all by hand. For 39.2%. All right, or let's make another column here. Read only. Okay. I'm just gonna save it. So it allow me to do some work on it. Where are we at? Oh, my mouse isn't working. Okay. Relative frequency. Okay, like I said, that would be equal to, let's make a little equation of alright, now it's working. Equal to the quantity of numbers divided by total, and we don't want that guy to move, so I'm going to anchor this guy. Now times that by 100. Oh yeah? Oh, percent. Dollar sign. Okay. And I want to make that only one decimal place. Pull it down. And there's our percentages. 100%. Good. Those are answers. 1.5, 39.2, 300, 18.5, 6.9, 3.8. Now I'll try and write them down. %, 18.5, 6.9, and 3.8%. The answers say, okay, that's how we did it. And 3.8, 3.8, 6.9, 18.5, 30, what was that guy? 39.2, and 1.5. So we did it correctly. I still like doing prefers technology, especially if you have the data already set up to do that. Within the spreadsheet, create a column graph of the percentage data. Print a copy of the column graph or create a sketch in notebook. So within the spreadsheet, create a column graph. Okay, so we have our relative frequency here. So create a column graph. We're going to be using right here, insert column or bar chart. And what do I need my x-axis, and I need my frequency. Now, hours. X-axis, control, red frequency, and let's make ourselves a bar. Exit helps, does well. Grid graphing, we should always have axis title. This being, so we know it's hours. Relative percent. And here's the display. Okay, so print a copy or sketch in your book, in your notebook. Again, how do we get this guy? I had my highlight the columns that I would use. Recommended chart also, could have done all charts. I want a bar chart. Could have done it this way, that'd be interesting. Or, as we had before, horizontal. Just two ways of giving the same information, depending on what you're looking for. And don't forget to title, legend. Maybe I might be a little more fancy with the titles there. That's okay. Gets the point across. Okay, write a short analysis of the information in the table and graph. What pattern do you see? I'm just looking at it now, and pattern being the most, very few does zero participation, but a good majority of up to almost 40% does 1 to 5. Like nearly 70% is between 1 and 10. But the more hours of participation, the less people who do it, and very few do more than 30. What's that effect? Reflect on that number of hours that you spend working on math homework outside of class alone and with others. Do you find that the time you spend is enough to be successful in this class? And record your response in your notebook. So if this was being asked of you, where would you fall in this category? Where would you be? Which of these columns would you fall into? When I was in college, undergraduate, I was probably in, this is per week, mind you. This is per week. Wow. 1 to 5 hours per week. double check that. In a typical 7-day week, preparing for class. Per week, I was probably in this region. I was probably up here. Just think about it, that's only like that's only like 3 or 4 hours a day. Over 7 days, it's only 3 or 4 hours a day. So it could possibly, excuse me. So it could possibly people have misread it, and thought it was per day versus per week. Who knows? I digressed. So reflect on that. Where do you fall in here? And record response in your notebook. Okay, upgrade confidence level with stuff. How confident are you that you can determine the sample size for study? You know how many, know all the numbers in each category, add them up, you got sample size. I think I can do that. How about calculate relative frequency? Well, again, that's just the size of a category divided by total sample size times 100. I can do better than that. How much that you can use data to create a bar graph, column graph. I just did it. Right, analysis, so-so. Can self-regulate your learning. What do you got on that one? That's me. How about you? And that is, it's about time, an interactive tutorial. So think about that. Go in and see if you can make these graphs up. Create the relative frequency column. Then use that column with this column to create yourself a bar graph, which is categorical and a count. And I'll see you shortly for questions 1 through 4.